Good morning, beautiful people. It is December the 3rd, 2013 at 10 a.m. Wow. I woke up to most beautiful golden sunrise again this morning. It was just about the same as the one that I woke up to on Thanksgiving morning. And it just lit up my whole room and everything inside my home just as gold as it could be. And that Thursday morning, ISON, Thanksgiving morning, Thursday morning, ISON was rounding the sun and going through its spiritual rock crusher. And I feel that the same thing that happened to ISON has happened to me. All my various levels of higher self seems to have been just crushed up. And it's kind of interesting because that's got to happen every time before we go. When we start integrating with various levels of our higher self, these things happen, and we get rewired. You know, it's almost like we get repulverized, we get purified, refined. That gold is having any more impurities removed from it, and then we start reintegrating and getting rewired. And boy, am I going through one right now. This one is heavy duty, and it's about as heavy duty as anything I've witnessed since Venus transit, and it might be a whole lot more heavy duty now than it was then. And it was at Venus transit when we finally reached that critical mass number of persons activated on the planet that could that were activated in their heart chakra and going through their ascension process, that could hold the frequencies and the intensity of the light in the field. And it was that critical mass that has allowed the possibility of the collective of humanity to come through this ascension process at this time, so that we wouldn't have two Earths, a 3D Earth and a 5D Earth, totally separating like that, and having a mass dimensional ascension without the collective of humanity come through. Well, in Venus transit, many of us were getting the message, and me included, and always have it verified by other persons who I am not speaking with, but who I know closely that are receiving similar messages as I do. And they come out with similar messages saying the same things, and it's a verification of the messages that I too receive. But on Venus transit in 2012, we had reached that minimum 144,000 persons who are ascending, going through their activation process and holding the higher light, so that we could raise the frequency of the collective of humanity and of Mother Earth. Anyway, this Thanksgiving, and actually it was the day after, I went down to see some friends down in Dunedin, Florida, and we did water healing ceremony down at Honeymoon Island. And thanks Teddy and Sharon and Nancy, it was just absolutely amazing what we witnessed. And right as I was leaving them, there was a bald eagle that was flying in front of us, and there was a white and black feather that was sitting right next to my truck when I was loading up and getting ready to head out. And then I saw two more bald eagles before I even got out of town, and that was kind of like the totem for the day after Thanksgiving. Anyway, as ISON rounded the sun, and so many people think of ISON as a spaceship, and in a way it is. You know, everything is consciousness, and definitely, especially water. Water is very much like a computer. Water is crystalline. Water can retain memory. Dr. Emoto has proven that in his work many times over, and that's what we're doing is we're going through our ascension processes. We're changing the memory of the water in our physical being and raising the frequency of it, because we're 90% water in these earth transportation mechanisms that we're walking around in, that we're inhabiting here. And as we change the frequency of the water and remove the negative programming that had been within this water, we're healing the water that's in here. And this water connects with the DNA of all other water around, and we're changing the frequencies of that water. So you start to understand about the water healing ceremonies. It's just another fractal on a global scale and on a collective scale of the same things that we're doing as we're ascending our physical beings. On Comet Ison, a comet, water, is coming in from a place, they say, that could have been hundreds of millions of years ago that it was created, and it's coming in with those frequencies that that were the pure water, the pure God frequencies, the purity of who we can be, and truly are, and are going back to. We just checked out for a while to have the duality experiment, and in the duality experiment we got separate from source, and in our separation we experienced negativity and duality and all the lower vibrations associated with that, the darkness, so that we could really have a great respect for the light. And without the darkness, the light cannot know itself. And that's in a way what the duality experiment and our dropping down into our separation was all about, to really understand who we are as great light beings. Now, Comet Ison is holding frequencies of the purity of the vibration many millions of years ago. Our sun creates water, as suspicious observers and many other scientists are proving. There is water being emitted from our star, and that's how we end up with so much water on various planets like Earth. And there's many moons around the planets around the solar system which is known to have water on it. But we as consciousness have been going through this duality experiment in this university of Mother Earth and all our negative frequencies from the duality experiment, from the wars, from the traumas and everything that we've experienced during this experiment while we were contained in quarantine. And the quarantine has been now lifted, and the magnetics around Earth are being released so that more of the cosmic rays and more of what's going on in the cosmos can actually enter Mother Earth. As Comet Ison, and it's interesting the spelling of that, because and how that got named, I'm not quite sure. I haven't done the research on that, but the spelling of that is almost like a declaration of who we are as individuals. We are all sons or daughters of God, of Prime Creator, and as we go through our ascension process and we're changing our frequencies of the water in us, we're changing the DNA within this body, and that's affecting the DNA of everything around us, and including water. And water holds memory. Water has DNA, just like we do. And as this comet came into the sun, it exchanged the old memories the programming of the crystals within the structure of the water that was on the comet called ISON. And it exchanged that with our sun. And then our sun takes those encodings, programs, and it steps it down and changes to suit the needs of the divine plan within the experiment that's going on within this solar system. And it reprograms the memory and sends out the encodings in solar flares and frequencies, and it blasts us with that. And so it's almost like a bus on your computer, and you've got your hard drive sitting there talking to the other hardware that's within the computer, and it's all wanting to work together and integrate, and that bus is the encodings. It's the light that's coming in from the sun into all the planets and moons and to everything that's within this solar system. And that's kind of how it works. So the comet goes around the sun, it changes the programming within the sun, and that sun steps it down and sends it out to us in light, in encodings, and it helps to change the frequencies within our beings. It helps to raise our frequencies, and as we raise our frequencies, then what we're doing is we're connecting more with our higher levels of spirituality and our spiritual selves, our light being self, our angelic self, our monadic groups, our soul families, the whole thing of where we came from. And we're reintegrating and reprogramming ourselves to become, still as individuals, but as a oneness and wholeness integrated with all that is. And the frequencies that have been coming in since Thanksgiving are almost... I'm a light junkie. I love the high intensities, the high wattage that comes in from these solar flares and from being around vortexes, and that's always been part of my mission, to hold those high frequencies. That's just who I am. And as a Melchizedek mechanic, and as Bill Ballard has been as a tool maker or an inventor or whatever I've done in this lifetime, a mechanic, I've always had to understand how things work and function and how they're put together and why they work that way, and all the understanding behind it. And I'm doing the same thing on the cosmic level too. I have to understand what all these comets and magnetics and waves and frequencies are doing as it's changing our being from the cosmic level down to this personal level, and even on Mother Earth, and with the collective of humanity. And that's what ISON was all about. It was about bringing in new programming. And when ISON rounds the sun and it is interacting with the sun, and solar flares are sent out to it, and which are kind of like conductors, like copper wire in your house that allows electricity to flow through from a power source to the appliance that you wish to operate. That's kind of what's going on with solar flares and filaments that are being ejected to the sun, to something like ISON. It allows an information exchange to go on that conductor. It's kind of like Cat5 in a hardwired computer networking system. It allows the information exchange. Well, it doesn't take just a solar flare or CME incoming at Earth to send us the new encodings or new informations. I mean, we get it within minutes just with the light. The light travels from the sun to here in about 8 minutes at this 93 million miles, as light travels at light speed, 186,000 miles per second. So about 8 minutes it takes for light to, and those encodings and the new programming to get to here from the sun. It's interesting enough that all happened on Thanksgiving morning, and I woke up to the most golden sunrise as ISON was rounding the sun and this was going down, and then I have experienced that again this morning. Now, I've had several days since that have been such high frequencies that it's almost difficult for me to handle. And I love the light intensity. I love that high amperage and high wattage. And it's really, it's a spiritual rock crusher that has hit. And man, it has really pounded me up into the quantum levels. So more purification and reintegration and rewiring can occur. And it's been a very difficult thing, although quite enjoyable and fun. And I know many people will say, do this or do that, or you're not doing this or doing that. My path is perfect for me, just like your path is perfect for you. So don't try to tell me what's going on, please. But I'm able to discuss and listen to it. But, persons trying to tell other people what's going on and how it's all unfolding, that's going to be, we're going to have different experiences for each one of us. There's going to be certain things that goes on with all of us, but the path is going to be different for each and every one of us, and that's how we learn. We've got to have those types of experiences. That's the schooling. That's the lessons. So anyway, I'm doing the best I can to ground these energies and to beam them out, but it is mighty intense in this bodysuit that I'm wearing, and I'm seeing a lot of others that are in their activation process who have expanded they've gone through their heart activation or are going through their heart activation, which generates the toroidal field, which is like a large antenna that goes out to the edges of their Merkaba. Well, it's that which catches these light encodings and higher frequencies coming in, and many of the persons that are on their ascension path, which is that expansion that I was just describing, because of the activations, many of these persons are experiencing something very similar as all these light codings are hitting, and it is very, very intense. Now, interestingly enough, last week I had a physical symptom, an ascension symptom in this body that I didn't understand. And a friend who came to do water healing ceremonies with me this weekend had experienced the same thing in the past. And I thought what it was is a very intense pain around the jaw and teeth area. And it was from clenching my teeth. And that occurs with persons clenching and grinding teeth, usually from stress. And for me, since I move so much horse poo-poo in my building of a new firmament here, a new earth, a new soil here, because we have no soil besides sand, as I'm bringing in all the horse poo-poo, I thought I might be having parasitic infestations in my physical being. But I'd always also felt that how could that happen if there's so much light within the field, the parasites couldn't live within the body. So, I was kind of trying to understand what was going on there until my friend said, the jaw issues that was experienced by them was caused by stress and stress of what was going on with their life. And then it finally dawned on me what has been going on since all this began with myself was a stress of how intense these frequencies that I'm holding within my personal field have become. I don't have stress within my life like interaction with persons or having to worry about jobs and all the 3D stuff that so many other persons get stressed from. I don't have any of that. I've cleaned up the negativity. I've changed the program and deleted the fear modes and all those mental patterns that we had programmed ourselves with in the 3D duality and separation experience. I'm way past all that. And yeah, there's bits and pieces that come up every now and then that have to be cleared out, but it's so very, very small, and it's amplified so much because of the light in my field. So it becomes very obvious of where I need to focus my intent when these things do come up. But I have nothing stressful in my life coming from the exterior, and it finally dawned on me that it has to do with these incoming frequencies that is coming in because of ISON, and the new encodings and frequencies that we're holding within our field. This is pretty dadgum intense, what's going on right now. For me anyway, and I'm hearing the same things coming from so many other persons too. And so anyway, I was having an ascension symptom that was causing me to clench my jaws, grind my teeth, and that was affecting my teeth and causing some intense pain. And so, and once I became conscious of it, I said, oh, that's what that is. And then even in my sleep, I would wake up and recognize what I was doing and send the message, don't grind your teeth, don't clench your jaws. And the pain is subsiding. There's still some remnants of it, but the intensity of what is going on is causing some issues within my physical being. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, back to the water healing ceremonies. Doing these water healing ceremonies, we just did one Friday morning out on Honeymoon Island in Dunedin, Florida, and boy, was that one intense. And the persons who I was with gave me a bottle of water that we had activated by programming our memory into that bottle of water that we did ceremony with there, and then we came back here and did Rainbow River and the 3 Crystal River ceremonies over the vortexes that we've repeated time and time again. And man, the energies there and the energies that were coming through my field as we were doing the ceremony and clearing the vortexes and allowing the energy to flow and programming the water for healing all the waters within this physical body, all the waters below Mother Earth, on the surface of Mother Earth, above Mother Earth, all the waters that are within everything that is on Earth, including rocks. Everything has to have water to exist, otherwise it would fall apart. It could not, just like concrete. Concrete's got to have some type of water to bind it together. Everything on Earth has water, and part of the water healing ceremonies is to reprogram that water, to reprogram it within us, reprogram it in the water that we're doing ceremony on, and then send out the waves to everything that is on this planet, including humans, awakening humanity, and to change the structure of the water within everything that is on this planet. Because the water is crystalline and talks to each and every other molecule. The water, as we change the DNA within our physical being and it reprograms that water to a different vibration, it sends out to all other DNA around new encodings to change into, to merge into, to merge with. It changes the timelines. It changes the reality. And then that goes back the video I saw that was released on Bashar and the 144,000 effect. And so many people are talking about all the darkness that's on planet right now. And of course it's got to be. It's always going to be balanced out. The more intense the light is going to be on one hand, the more intense on the opposite polarity the darkness is going to be. And so to persons that are still in that linear 3D frame of being, or even fourth dimensional, where they know their connection to source, but they're still working on that linear 4D aspect, vertical and linear, it's going to look like everything is totally disintegrating. And it is. It's got to change. And it's changing because we're calling forth these changes. You know, with our changing of our frequency and our consciousness and our ways of being, whatever we do changes the water and the programming within our being. And just like dropping a rock into a still pond, it sends out a ripple effect across that water to every other molecule of water that is within whatever container. And this container is this universe and multiverse. It's not just this solar system. We're affecting everything. And it's got to be done by the boots on the ground. It's got to be done by individuals who are connected with their higher self, who literally can connect all the way back to Prime Creator, but are in physical form as boots on the ground, who can change the DNA, the programming of the water, the ripple effect that goes out to everybody else. So anyway, we are in an ongoing meditation of awakening of the collective of humanity. And that's what these water healing ceremonies do. Because when we change that which is within ourselves, and that is like the pebble going into the still pond that creates the ripples that go out and waves that go out, it changes everything else. So the water healing ceremonies and the awakening of humanity, they go hand in hand. The ascension that's going on within ourselves goes hand in hand. Alex Collier, in 1996, and I posted this on Facebook, and I can't, Facebook's really got me messed up right now. They're trying to keep me from, it's not they that's doing it. It's I switched from Timeline to use a program called Social Fixer because I like the original way that Facebook was set up and not all the busyness and advertisement that Timeline was putting in on me. So I used Social Fixer, and Facebook had changed their programming so in encodings so quickly that the guy that developed Social Fixer could not keep up with it, and so I can't post directly to my wall. I have to post to my news feeds, and I can't see anything but 4 posts that I've made or that are on my wall, and the same thing within my news feeds. So it's kind of messed up some abilities that I have, so I can't just go pull up these Bashar or any of these other things that I've posted the past couple of days, because I can't even see it on my own wall, and to go back and to find it in my messages might be literally hundreds of pages back with 35 messages on each page, and I can't, I'm not going to get through that kind of time. So anyway, you'll just have to trust me that Alex Collier in 1996 was talking about this date, December 3rd, 2013, as being the transition of into higher light of a certain group of persons on the planet. And it's those of us who are choosing to ascend and to go through our ascension process. And see, somebody had posted that, oh yeah, you guys are just beaming out of here on December 3rd. No. In up until Venus Transit 2012, the messages incoming were there were going to be 2 separate Earths. We would at that point do that. There'd be the 3D world that everybody's known that they're watching collapsing, that the economic system and the wars and all the controllers are trying to enslave the population of humanity. And there would be that world, and then there'd be those of us activating, going through our ascension process and stepping into a higher dimensional reality, which we are doing as we're going through our activation, but we're not leaving planet. Before 2012 at Venus Transit, there were going to be literally 2 different Earths, and many more, because they're more higher dimensional Earths than just 5th dimensional too. But anyway, Alex Collier had made this post in 1996 about this very day, December 3rd, 2013, and he was talking about the light and how many of us would be ascending into higher frequencies today. And I have to say, it is literally happening, but we're not leaving planet. After Venus transit, there's only going to be one Earth, but 5th dimensional Earth is right here over 3rd and 4th dimensional Earth. Really, 3rd dimensional Earth is going away right now. That's the collapse that you're seeing of everything coming down. We're turning into spiritual humans as the collective of humanity. That is the awakening that's going on. And then each individual within the collective of humanity will have to go through their individual ascension process. Many people thought that when I made this post that, oh, we were just going to beam out today. No. There's 2 ascensions going on right now. Well, actually more than that, because we're ascending this whole universe. But the initial ascension, before a dimensional shift can occur, is the ascension of the individual. And the ascension of the individual is the shifting of the consciousness from the brain and into the heart, the integrations with the higher selves that individual comes from, into the physical being, and allowing those higher selves to operate through the physical being as the ego steps out. When you move out of the brain, you're moving out of the ego. When you move into the heart, you're ascending, and you're expanding your free field. You're activating your light body. You're activating your Merkaba. You're integrating with your various levels of higher self. And that is Ascension. That was pretty cool. Fell on me at that second. Signs on. And then we have those of us who are collectively ascended but still embody on Mother Earth right now, who, because of our integrations with our higher levels of self, we're receiving the messages of the divine plan coming in, and through our actions and the intent that we hold in this computer, right here, in this computer, from the heart tells the computer what to hold in the divine plan, the vision, and what it speaks. And that creates the reality. Now, it is the collective of those of us who are going through our ascension process on whatever level that we are on that is shifting the reality of the collective of humanity. And so, by holding the intent in the computer, we're changing the illusion that is going on around the planet. And Bashar was speaking about that. That's what the 144,000 are all about. It takes a certain number of persons holding a frequency or a collective thought and vision, an intent, a concept, to change the reality of all the billions of persons on Earth. Each one of us that hold these frequencies or this intent or this concept is geometrically amplified by each and every other person that holds the intent, the concept, the vision. And so that is the 100th monkey effect, and why so few of us can change the reality of the whole planet. And as each other person comes through and goes through their ascension process, by the shifting their individual ascension process, by the shifting of their consciousness out of the ego and out of the brain and into the heart, by The activation of their toroidal field, the heart chakra, the toroidal field, their Merkaba. And by joining the rest of us, each and every person that does that is sending out another wave to the collective of humanity to raise their frequency and to awaken them. And so right now we're going through a massive awakening on this planet. It's huge. And we'll go through a massive ascension process, but it takes all the individuals to go through their individual ascension process to come to the point in surrender to the higher selves, allowing the ego to move out of the way and the higher selves to operate through the physical being. When we have enough of us on planet who do that, we will have another type of ascension, and that will be a collective dimensional ascension, where we literally step into a fifth dimensional Mother Earth. But truly, that's going on for many of us already holding these frequencies here and now. It's because we're holding the powers of ascension masters, of ascended masters, but we're still going through ascension. Ascension is not just a point to point. Ascension is a conscious, continuous state of expansion, of reintegration with the higher selves. So it's ascending masters that we are. We're not just ascended. You can say when you shift out of here to your heart, you are an ascended master, because that is the point of no return at that point. But you're in a constant state of ascending from there on. And so, getting back to Prime Creator, all that is that's an ongoing process. Oh, man. And as we do it as the collective of humanity, the ripple effect of the change of the frequencies within the water and the DNA of humanity on this planet, when we do that on this planet, then that wave goes out throughout the solar system, throughout this galaxy, throughout this universe, and throughout the multiverse. And so we're ascending everything by consciously being aware of our individual ascension, and to hold that focus while in these human physical forms and on Earth. Nobody's doing it to us. We're doing it. And that's what ascension is all about. Many persons think that, and I've been in battle about this concept for years now, because I've taught chakra activation, the activation of your chakra, your toroidal field, and your Merkaba that surrounds you, and the constant state of the expansion of your enlightenment process, because that's what it is. You are internally and externally lighting yourself and your field up with who you really are. We're not really these physical vessels. This is just a car we drive while we're here on Earth. What we are is that energy that we're allowing to come through this physical vessel and to integrate within this physical vessel. That energy is who we are. That is our eternal selves. And ascension is the allowing more and more of that higher self and higher frequency and the various levels to come through and operate through this physical vessel. And we expand our field more and more as we do that. And that is ascension. That's ascension on the personal level. We're not going anywhere. We're right here. Although much of the crap that's going on planet right now, those of us that are going through our ascension process, we've detached from. We have to change our programming, the programming of the water within the physical vessel. We've got to ascend that. We've got to expand it. We've got to change the frequency of that. And as we do, we detach more and more from what's going on in the 3D, 4D reality and the collapsing of everything, That's how we hold more light. We've got to detach ourselves from that lower vibration to be able to hold more light, to rid ourselves of the fear and the crap and the karmic entanglements that's going on. That's the cleanup process, so that you can hold more and more light, more and more higher frequencies. And we allow this higher state to come through our physical being. But as we do that, we don't have the crap come into our lives. We don't have the accidents. We don't have the trauma that's going on in so many others' lives. And so many people think that they think that's exactly what's going on. They're thinking that those of us that are going through our ascension process are cold and uncaring of everybody else and what they're going through. And that's not true. I mean, if they're going through great traumatic experiences right now, those are their learning lessons. And it's a great thing. I'm like, bravo! If you're having a really rough time, that means you've got a choice. And you can make that choice to ascend and to clean up your crap and to get through your process that so many of us have already gone through, and that is every one of us have got to go through, and no one can do it for us. No one can ascend ourselves. We have to ascend ourselves. Nobody can do our work. We're not everybody who thought December 3rd, today, we were just going to disappear and go someplace, or that's what Ascension is about, or first wave of Ascension is about. We leave and go to a different reality. No. The reality, we've got 3D, 4D, and 5D Earth right here and now. It's just those of us that are holding the higher frequencies aren't affected by the lower vibrations of 3 and 4D Earth and the collapse of what's going on there. That makes sense? So the ascension is going on right here, right now on planet. It's just we're removing ourselves from that illusion, from that crap. Saying, nah, we don't want to experience that crap. It's a personal choice to experience that crap. If you want to experience the crap, by all means, go right ahead. And you'll eventually learn your lessons and decide that, being in heaven is a whole lot better than being in hell. And it's personal choice. So, anyway, oh man. And as more and more of us make that choice, what we're doing is sending out the ripple waves throughout the collective of humanity to shift them. And so each and every one of the collective of humanity is going to have to get tired of living in hell so they can, and they've got to experience the hell so that they can appreciate the heaven. That's what Ascension's all about. That's what duality was all about. We had to go through the dark side so that we could appreciate the light. We had to live in hell so we could appreciate our heaven. And we had to be separate from source before we could understand that we're truly great creator beings living in these physical vessels. We're truly great spiritual, hugely spiritual. We're truly all that is. That's where we come from. We just fractalized ourselves out into this vessel that we're in now. And now we're integrating with the energies of the levels of higher self that we truly are, and allowing that to operate in the illusion. And so we're becoming masters of the matrix. Oh man, oh man, oh man. 4333 is a look down at that one. Oh, at 12/3/13. What a wonderful time to be on this planet. To bear witness to everything, and to be awake and aware, and to be a way shower, and to have even my own personal experience that nobody else can experience my personal experience. And I'm sure yours is as beautiful as mine. And that is part of the process of ascension. As we are going through our clearing process, we have to look back at the traumatic experiences and the karmic entanglements that we've had in the drama of life as we have been playing with others and in the 3D illusion. And we have to recognize that. And in order not to repeat the cycles, we have to consciously, but really consciously in our heart mind, not our head mind. We have to consciously understand what the lessons of that experience was all about. And until we consciously expand and understand why the experience happens and what we are learning from it, and identify it and be able to go, oh, that was it, and love it and embrace it. And only by doing that can we release it and not have those karmic experiences constantly in a state of repeating. Repeat. Many persons wonder why they're constantly having the same things going on in their life, and it's because they're not looking at what lesson that the experience has given them, and are embracing that lessons and loving it into submission and being grateful for it, having the gratitude for it. You've got to be grateful to experiences before you can move on. And that's the same thing with the dark in our lives. We've got to understand that the dark is the opposite polarity, and without the opposite polarity, there can be no 2 points where the energetics flow around and the experience unfolds around. And so there's always got to be the 2 points, and rather than those points being played out by other individuals as creators, we are setting up those points within ourselves. We don't need to have somebody else in opposition, in separation, creating duality. We can create a point of our experience within our own heart and our own being for the experience that we wish to have, and we can personally send that out and not have the karmic experience. The karmic experience is really when 2 persons are holding opposite polarities, and the experience unfolds with those 2 persons within the self. Yes, there's going to be learning lessons, and yes, there can be karma if your choices are not of the highest vibrations. Well, karma is the experience. Karma is the vibration of the 2 points. When the 2 points are encircled and the Vesica Pisces is formed right there in the center, as those 2 points merge, that is the vibration. That is the experience. So you'll always have that which is the karmic experience, because everything that we create is going to have a resulting experience. But the karma does not necessarily have to be bad. It does not necessarily have to be something that is traumatic. And it doesn't have to come from the outside of our body. And when we're whole and complete, we're creating a whole experience within ourselves, and we don't have all the crap dramatics play out within our field, within our creations. We've learned our lessons from that. We've learned our lessons from the duality. So anyway, what's gonna come? We got some, well, ISON is come around the sun and zooming out on the orbital plane that Mother Earth, ISON, here's the sun, here's ISON coming out into the solar system again, and the orbital plane that Mother Earth's on, ISON is crossing in front of us here in these next few days. And so in early January, we're going to be going through the debris field. And so all the shifts in the frequencies of the water, the reprogramming of the water, that is Comet Ison and is its debris field, as what's left of Ison continues out the solar system, and we go through that debris field. The remnants of it, of the comet, of that water, of the tail, of the debris field, will be coming into the atmosphere of Mother Earth. And so even that programmed crystalline water structure that is in the tail of the comet and the debris field of the comet, it will come into our atmosphere and help to change our vibrations and our frequencies and bring us into a much more pure state. Even further, All of these things, all the comets, all the meteors, all the asteroids incoming, all the fireballs, all the galactic events, all the magnetics coming in from the galactic center or even around the universe because of all the portals that we've generated through all the ceremonies that have been going on, at least since 1985, when the first global meditations really began. All of these energies and astrological events and alignments and stargates and portals, and it's all affecting the whole of the experience that we're having. It's all just, each one of these events, each one of these different things is just another gear, just another tooth on a gear that's within the transmission that creates the change that's driving us forward. And it's really, really cool to look back on all that's gone on since the mid-1980s, even before harmonic convergence, and all of the work that we've all done, every crystal that we put in the ground, every prayer that we say, every intent that we have, every focused meditation we have changes the whole. And we're now at the point where this wonderful comet coming through is going to change the water frequencies. It is changing. It has changed the water frequencies of all of us, of the sun, of the solar system, and we're radiating that out throughout this solar system and galaxy and universe. And each different little thing that we do is adding to the whole, and we're all participating. Every single one of us are participating. And please continue to send out the waves of awakening throughout the collective of humanity. And when I say that, remember, right off the ground, all the way around Mother Earth, right from ground level, 6 feet off the ground, where all of humanity is walking, and the mental bodies, the emotional bodies, the astral bodies, light bodies of the individuals of the collective of humanity are. Keep focusing on the awakening of humanity. Keep focusing on the reprogramming of the water within your physical being, and radiate that out around the planet to the whole collective of humanity. We're shifting it. It doesn't matter whether it's ISON or the call to awaken humanity or all these water healing ceremonies. It's all part of the same transmission and drive into the ascension of ourselves, of the collective, and of this universe. It's all part of the whole. There is only one. There can be only one. But we're all fractalized out, and we're all participating, making the gears work, which drives the divine plan. It's the ultimate game. And to be consciously awake and aware of what we're doing is the most wonderful thing. Anyway, I've got a bunch of taters to plant, and it's that time of year. And with each one that goes in the ground, I'll be saying a prayer. The firmament is really getting built up in my garden. And again, you know, what I'm doing for my personal ascension is also going on within that garden, is also going on within the collective of humanity, and is also going on within our solar system, our galaxy, and the universe. That's just the fractal I identify with. And we each have our own. We each hold our own parts and pieces to this puzzle. And if there was any of us missing, then there would be a part of the picture that would be missing. And truly, that's an impossibility. It's in such a state of perfection and grace. And anyway, 5411 as I look down. That's a good time to bid you adieu and farewell. Hoping you are feeling these energies as intensely. Well, maybe not as intensely as I am, although it, you know, at some point everybody will be getting that. It's just we all can only hold that layer, that level of frequency and light quotient within our field, that we have done our work on healing ourselves in order to hold, and the expansion of our consciousness and integration with our higher selves so that we can hold that. And, that's the personal work that each one of us have to do. And eventually, we all cross the same levels. It is a stairway to heaven, and the changing of the physical form is a process that the integration of higher selves and the changing of the physical form, the ascension and transfiguration, is a process that really is repeated the same way by all of us. That's just a stair step. We can't skip the steps as we're trying to jog up the stairway to heaven. There's just certain things that each and every one of us have to go through as we go through our ascension process. But the story, the experience is what's different. And so, how wonderful, how amazing, what a fantastic, fantastic time to be alive. I feel so much love and gratitude for everyone, and everyone who's awake and consciously participating on the ascension and the changing of themselves. Because that is just a gear, a tooth in the gear of the transmission that we all are as the one. So anyway, love y'all. Bye for now.